Game tutorials have exactly two settings. Either they assume you've never touched a controller in your entire life, or they throw you into a burning building and expect you to build a fire extinguisher from scratch. There is no in between. And today we are going to figure out exactly why that is, because the answer is way weirder than you'd think. So here's what this video is actually about. Tutorials in modern games are broken. Not broken in a whoops, small bug kind of way. Broken in a we studied your behavior down to the millisecond and we still somehow got it completely wrong kind of way. Most people just blame lazy developers, and sure, sometimes that's fair. But the real reasons go much deeper, and they are honestly kind of hilarious. We are going to go through the biggest ones, and I'm saving the most insane one for last. Because when you hear it, you are going to think about it every single time you boot up a new game. Let's start with the one that quietly ruins games for experienced players before they even realize it's happening. You know that moment in a tutorial where the game freezes the screen, throws up a text box and goes, "Press W to move forward." And you're sitting there like, yeah, I know, I have been pressing W since I was 8 years old. That feeling is not just annoying. There is actually a name for what happens to your brain in that moment. When a game forces you to complete an insultingly basic action, your brain disengages from active play and drops into what researchers call a passive mode. You are no longer a player, you are a button-pressing machine following instructions on a screen. The game is not teaching you how to play, it is accidentally convincing your brain that it thinks you have the motor skills of a golden retriever. And the worst part is that this sets the tone for the entire session. Your brain files the game under "not that serious" before you have even seen the first enemy. Now here is where it gets interesting. Games used to be genuinely great at avoiding this. Miyamoto designed World 1-1 of Super Mario Bros. To be a tutorial for new players, orienting them to platform jumping and to the rest of the game. And he did it without a single text box. World 1-1 functions as an implicit tutorial, introducing every core element of the game's platforming and combat systems in a structured progression that allows players to gradually and naturally understand what they're doing, without text. Every enemy placement, every brick, every gap was a forced teaching moment disguised as a fun level. The team considered how to teach the player several skills at once. How to avoid enemies, how to destroy enemies, how question blocks work, and how to tell an enemy Goomba from a helpful mushroom. They did all of that with level geometry. No pop-ups, no frozen screens, no press A to jump hovering over Mario's head. And here's the kicker. They did it on hardware with a fraction of the memory of a modern JPEG. Now games ship with 500 GB install sizes and still need to stop everything for 10 seconds to explain how a door handle works. Something went very wrong somewhere. So what actually went wrong? The answer is a number. 12. Specifically 12 minutes. Modern game studios track player behavior with telemetry data that is genuinely scary in its precision. They know exactly when you paused, exactly when you died, and exactly when you closed the app. And what that data showed them is that if a player gets confused or stuck within the first 12 minutes of booting up a game, a massive chunk of them will just close it and never come back. So every unskippable text box, every giant floating arrow, every ledge painted bright yellow, none of that is for fun. Those are panic features. Developers terrified that you are going to close the game before your brain gets its first dopamine hit started bolting on safety nets everywhere. And the result is a tutorial experience that feels less like a game and more like a very aggressive onboarding process at a new job. And speaking of yellow paint, let's talk about that for a second because this one is genuinely my favorite piece of gaming history. The term yellow paint became shorthand for an overused visual trope after major releases like Resident Evil 4 Remake and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Players began noticing and then mocking the abundance of yellow highlights slathered across ladders, planks, crates, and ledges. Much like Resident Evil, The Division, and the Uncharted series, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth uses bright yellow design cues to highlight interactive details, guiding players toward the next objective. And people were furious about it. Fans of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth even released a mod called No More Yellow Paint, which removes the yellow paint markers from the game, in response to the lack of an in-game setting to toggle it on or off. But here is the thing nobody wants to admit. The reason yellow paint exists is that game graphics got so hyper-realistic that human eyes genuinely could not tell a climbable cliff face from a random pile of decorative rocks. In cluttered environments, even carefully designed climbable surfaces can blend into the background, and yellow stands out sharply even in dimly lit or photorealistic worlds. Yellow is chosen because it's so eye-catching, and it's put on those locations because players fail to find the path in playtesting. There have been countless demonstrated times that even seasoned gamers have failed to find things. The art got so good that it broke the game. So the solution was to spray paint the apocalypse like a construction site. Totally normal. Completely fine. Now remember that last point I mentioned at the start, the one almost nobody realizes is happening to them? We are almost there. But first, we need to talk about the tutorial boss fight, because this one is going to make you feel personally victimized. You know, the scripted, unwinnable boss fight? Every RPG has one. Big villain shows up early, you fight for 20 minutes, and no matter what you do, the cutscene plays where your character is lying on the ground going, "He's too strong, I couldn't even scratch him." The problem is that veteran players frequently figure out how to actually beat the boss. They dodge everything perfectly, they find the exploit, they actually win. And then the game engine has a small crisis because nobody was supposed to do that. It either crashes, glitches, or just forces the lost cutscene anyway. So a person who just outplayed a boss fight, get to watch your character dramatically wheeze about how impossible it was. The game just looked you in the eye and lied to your face. That is not a tutorial, that is a hostage situation. And the corridor tutorial is the same energy. Most teams lean toward clarity, especially in large worlds where frustration can lead to players quitting. So what they built is a hallway. A literal padded hallway where every door locks behind you until you perform the specific action the game wants. Old games threw you into a sandbox and let you figure things out by breaking them. Modern games kidnap you, lock you in a room, and refuse to open the next door until you look at the glowing green light bulb the correct number of times. And if you try to rush through it, here is where the mega loop finally pays off. If you spam buttons trying to skip a dumb tutorial, which, honestly, same, the game's dynamic difficulty adjustment algorithm can actually read your frantic button mashing as a sign that you are struggling. You are pressing buttons fast because you are bored and frustrated. The AI reads that as panic, and its solution is to give you more tutorials, slower ones, with bigger text. The more aggressively you try to skip the tutorial, the more convinced the game becomes that you are having a medical emergency, and it rewards your anger with an even more detailed step-by-step breakdown of how to move the camera. You cannot win. The tutorial has studied you, it knows what you're doing, and it has decided that what you need is more help. There is also a neurological reason why this is so much worse during combat than anywhere else. Reading text on screen uses the analytical part of your brain. Playing action games relies on procedural muscle memory, which is a completely different system. When the game throws a pop-up tutorial at you mid-fight, it is the video game equivalent of someone tapping you on the shoulder during a high-speed highway merge to hand you a 40-page instruction manual on how steering wheels work. Your motor rhythm gets wiped. You die. The game offers to show you the tutorial again. And here is the wildest contrast of all of this. Arcades used to teach you how to play through something called attract mode, a pre-recorded gameplay loop that ran on the screen while nobody was playing. It showed a player dying and then showed exactly how to avoid that death. It was designed to lure you into inserting a quarter. Arcades taught you how to play through subtle visual storytelling so they could take your pocket change. Modern games charge you $70 upfront and then explain what a door is. So where does that leave us? Tutorials are broken because studios are terrified of that 12-minute dropout window. They spray painted the world yellow because graphics got too good. They built padded hallways because sandboxes scared them. They wrote text boxes during combat because they forgot how brains work. And they built a boss fight you're not supposed to win, which veterans keep winning anyway, which causes the game to have an existential crisis. The irony is that the best tutorial ever made was built in 1985 on hardware that could barely hold a handful of sprites, and it taught you everything without saying a single word. Miyamoto explained that World 1.1 contained everything needed to help the player gradually and naturally understand what they're doing, wanting players to quickly learn what the game is all about so that they can start to play more freely. That is still the standard, and most modern games, with all their terabytes and telemetry, still have not figured out how to clear it. If this made you irrationally angry about a yellow ladder you saw last week, drop it in the comments. I genuinely want to know which game got you. And if you have a friend who thinks tutorials are fine and normal and good, send them this video. Let them suffer too. There is a video sitting right over there that goes even deeper into game design decisions that make absolutely no sense, and I promise it will make you feel the same way this one did. Go watch that. I'll see you there.